The Aviation Matters bring you all the latest information and events across the country under the Honorable Minister of Aviation on executives, policies, projects, and everything that's related to the aviation transportation industry. Stay tuned.
This episode focuses on the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), which is the regulatory body for aviation in Nigeria. NCAA became autonomous with the passing into law of the Civil Aviation Act 2006 by the National Assembly and its assent by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Act not only empowers the authority to regulate aviation safety without political interference, but also carry out oversight functions of airports, airspace, meteorological services, as well as economic regulations of the industry. NCAA was established by Decree 49 of 1999, which, among others, the statutory responsibilities of ensuring, regulating, monitoring, and promotion of the safety, security, economic, and reliability of air navigation, oversight in line with International Civil Aviation Organization, the standard and recommended practices. The authority effectively commenced operation on 1st January 2000. Director General and Chief Executive Officer NCAA, Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, who is a veteran technocrat and aviation safety management specialist, speaks more on the mandates of the organization.
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, otherwise known by the acronym NCAA, is the sole regulatory body of the entire civil aviation in Nigeria. We regulate all civil aviation activities, both public and private. So we ensure compliance, not only with our own Nigerian civil aviation regulations, but compliance with international standards and recommended practices as issued by the International Civil Aviation Organization. It's a journey, it's not the destination, it's forever. Regulation, oversight function in the safety, security, and economic regulations of the industry, and it's ongoing. Yes, for the civil aviation industry to be functioning the way it is, that means we have achieved our mandate. Is there room for progress? Certainly. There's a room for significant progress, and we're working towards achieving that. It's a journey, not a destination.
Nigeria has about 31 airports. There are about 39 airline operation certificate holders for scheduled and non-scheduled flight operations, while about 28 foreign airlines are operating in Nigeria. Licensed crew data for current active crew as at February 2019 indicates that NCAA has given license to about 2,133 pilots, 175 certification of validation for pilots, aircraft maintenance engineers license, 1,679, aircraft maintenance engineers license with validation, 24, aircraft dispatchers license, 588, air traffic controllers, 372, cabin crew license, 2,343, air traffic safety electronic personnel license, 430, and aeronautical station operations license, 105. Nigeria now boasts of improved aviation infrastructural facilities at the airports, state-of-the-art navigational aids, modern weather forecasting equipment, and highly skilled manpower to ensure the safety and comfort of the flying public.
And we do accreditations for approved training organizations, for approved maintenance organizations. That is all part and parcel of regulatory function. And we issue those, and we do continuing oversight to ensure compliance by the recipients with the terms and conditions of these issuances.
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority responsibilities include regulation of safety of aircraft operations, air navigation and aerodrome operations, monitoring of aircraft operating environmental for safety and security, regulating of methods of entry and conduct of air transport business, advising the ministry on policy formulation on aviation-related matters, balancing the economic interest of operators, users of aviation services as well as the general public and the nation as a whole, setting of aviation training standard and approval of training institutions, facilitating takeoff and operation of e-ticketing and billing settlement plan. It is on record that the NCAA, under the leadership of Captain Nuhu, was the first civil aviation authority to fashion out about 27 safety and health protocols guidance materials for flight operations during the outbreak of the pandemic. Among these are the revised provisional quarantine protocols for travelers arriving or departing Nigeria, industry communication safety oversights, inspections and audits, revised international travel protocols into Nigeria, among others. In the wake of the outbreak, Captain Nurul had swung into action by organizing a series of virtual meetings regularly to chart the way forward and thereby provide the necessary direction and leadership for the industry. These efforts, combined with the new grounds being opened up by Captain Nurul, have earned him a global commendation from the African Civil Aviation Commission and other global civil aviation bodies.
We came in, resumed March in 2020, and shortly COVID was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, and shortly afterwards, after that, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the Nigerian Civil Aviation was shut down by the federal government to prevent the spread of the COVID virus. So that's when we kicked into action. Immediately, we started developing plans for the reopening of the industry. Obviously, the industry was not going to be shut down forever, so we had to make sure we were ready whenever the government lifted the ban on the operations. We were ready to resume the industry in a safe, secure, and efficient manner, which we have done successfully, and it's been recognized worldwide that we did that. And we developed all this on our own.
The International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO) is the body responsible for setting standards of international civil aviation activities and ensuring that states fulfill obligations provided in the Convention on International Civil Aviation. The body, as part of its conditions, requires all member states to establish an appropriate state organization to be known as Civil Aviation Authority, charged with necessary powers to ensure compliance with air navigation regulations promulgated by the state. Nigeria, as a signatory to the convention and desirous to maintain its membership of ICAO, adds to fulfill its obligation. Nigeria currently has bilateral air services agreements with over 78 countries. To this, Captain Nuhu talks about its relationships and collaboration with other organizations.
Let me start locally. Because we started locally, we are members, supporting members of Presidential Task Force. We had lots of discussion there. We collaborated with a lot of faith agencies, Ministry of Health, National Center for Disease Control, Pulse Health Services. They were all part and parcel in the development of our plans. And the development of these plans, it was homegrown. We did it on our own. However, when we did it, we shared it with different international agencies, including the African Civil Aviation Commission. We shared it with ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, through their office, their West and Central Africa office based in Dakar. And when we did that, we wanted them to go through a document, we wanted them to see, to critique the document and see, and the response we got was excellent. And I'm proud to say we're one of the first countries in the world to have developed that, while even ICAO itself was still grappling with the what they will do. We had done our own. We're way ahead of the power curve on that, and we did it internally.
It will be recalled that the Nigerian government had barred Emirates from flying into Nigeria over discriminatory policies on Nigeria as regards COVID-19 protocols by the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. On this, the Director General gives an update on the relationship with the country.
We have a very good relationship with both the domestic airlines and the international airlines. So I don't see any problem. Of course, we'll have our differences. We do have our differences. We do have our agreements. But the relationship between us and them is excellent. And I would like to believe you probably are referring to Emirates Airlines from UAE. We didn't have any issue with any Saudi airline, as far as I can remember. Flight operations between two countries is governed by what you call the bilateral air services agreement. In this case, the government of Nigeria and the government of UAE sat down and reached an agreement. This is how we'll do flight services between our countries. And both countries would designate their own airlines to operate those routes. For UAE, they designated Emirates Airlines and Etihad. For Nigeria, Air Peace was one of the designated airlines amongst others. And we had different routes. I think we had about 4 or 5 routes. I can't remember all of them offered that Nigerian Airlines could fly to in UAE, and they had a couple of airports too in Nigeria, which they could fly to. So pre-COVID, before COVID, Emirates had 2 flights out of Lagos daily and 1 flight out of Abuja daily, making 21 flights for Emirates Airlines out of Nigeria. And Etihad had 7 flights daily. So making of 28 flight frequencies via UAE Airlines into Nigeria. Because of some capacity and some issues, the Nigerian airlines do not have the capacity to reciprocate. As you can see, those airlines are much bigger, much more financed. But we had a Nigerian airline, Air Peace, that was operating 3 flights into Sharjah. So when the COVID came, that was shut down, Then after that, the operation started, and there were some issues. Emirates applied to Nigerian government. The 21 frequencies, 2 to Lagos, 1 to Abuja, was approved for them to resume. But unfortunately, they could not reciprocate for Air Peace that only wanted 3 frequencies. 3 frequencies. They gave them only 1. And unfortunately, the communication was done in such a bad way, like we had to be even grateful that they had given us 1 frequency, that given Air Peace 1 frequency when we had given them 21 frequencies. They said it was an airport issue, it was this, it was that Sharjah airport was operating at over capacity. And we still went ahead and gave them 14 frequencies, and they could not reciprocate with 3 frequencies. And the Ministry of Aviation and the Nigerian Civil Aviation found that unacceptable. And that's why the approval for them to operate 21 frequencies for Emirates Airline had withdrawn. By the way, Etihad, when post-COVID, Etihad stopped operations into Nigeria on their own free will. We did not stop them. They decided they were not going to come to Nigeria in the meantime, till sometime in the future. So that's basically where we stand now. And after that, due to the COVID, the government of UAE came out with some further restrictions. I think about 10 African countries that citizens cannot fly to UAE, which included Nigeria. So that's where we stand right now.
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) has barred chartered services with private registered aircraft. This came when the managing director of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, Captain Rabiu Yadudu, said the agency would implement flight spacing at all its airports in order to ensure prevention of the spread of pandemics when flight operations resumed. NCAA said it would grant such aircrafts when used for charter or revoke the operating license of anyone that disobeyed the directives. Director General of the NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, said the use of private aircraft for charter must stop forthwith.
We are unfortunate that there are people who have legitimately registered their operations to do charter flights. They have what they call the Air Operator's Certificate, which is for commercial operations. Then we have people who have come under the guise of permit for non-commercial flights. That's for private use. And the suspicion is that a lot of those who have permit for non-commercial flights are abusing the privileges given to them, using it for commercial charters. And what they are doing for all commercial charters, 5% of the charter service is supposed to be paid to the government through the NCAA. And because they're private flight, we don't charge them that. So they're using illegally. They're depriving the government funds. Apart from the private government funds, they are violating the terms and conditions given to them because they are not supposed to do charter flights. And because they are not paying that 5%, they undercut those who are operating under AOC and who pay the 5%. They undercut the charge they give to their customers. So not only are they depriving government funds, legitimate funds, as which is an act of the National Assembly, they are also have an unfair advantage for those who are there for the legitimate charter business. We have taken conditions, we've cut a few, and we've want those, if we catch, whoever we catch, will sanction them, including the revocation of their permit for non-commercial flights.
As part of the federal government effort to recover debts, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has shut down Glo Telecommunications Company MAST in Abuja over the non-payment of outstanding debts of 4.7 billion naira. The action was taken to enforce regulation and to ensure the safety of aviation in Nigeria. The Director General, Captain Musa Nuhu, in a company of Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, and NCAA staff, said the action taken is for the safety of aviation in Nigeria. Captain Musa Nuhu, who confirmed ongoing negotiations with the telecommunication company since he resumed office, NCAA had written to Glo on several occasions, reviewed the bill given to them after they raised some issues but have since failed to pay the government.
That's what you call the height clearance permit that we give all structures in Nigeria above a certain height. NCA is supposed to be aware of them because it's airspace safety. We have aircrafts that fly at very low levels. You have surveillance helicopters flying at low levels. I'm sure you've seen police patrol flying at very low levels, and sometimes you have drones that do survey, that fly a whole. So we need to know the position of those masts so that we can put them in a chart, a rendered code chart. So whoever is flying will know the position of those masts and navigate safely around them. And to do this, it costs NCA money. So what we do, those who come for approval, we have to give approval to put those masts. We give them a certificate, so that's a fee we charge, which is also legal. It's an act of parliament, it's in our act. We're not doing it out of this. We charge them a certain amount for the initial, then on a yearly basis, that's a fee they pay. Unfortunately, we've had issue with Glo for payment on over 10, 12 years. We've not had payment for Glow. I mean, they made an initial payment and that was it. And several calls and several efforts were made. Unfortunately, we didn't do that. And the issue is all government agencies and all MDAs are under tremendous pressure due to the financial situation in the country. And it is the policy of this current government for all agencies to recover their debts as part to reduce the deficit budgeted. So we need to recover all our debts from all organizations. And fortunately, the debt with Glow was huge. Was huge. We tried all efforts, and actually, we have the authority to dismantle any structure that is not in compliance with the regulation, including payment of the fees. But we thought to go and start dismantling the structures of Glow and others. It's a natural asset. It might be a private hand. So the better option was to shut down instead of dismantling. When you shut down, you can always start it over. But when you dismantle, there'll be destruction of poverty and there'll be loss, will be. So we decided to shut down to force Glow to come in table. And I'm glad we've reached some preliminary payment plans. So far, they are complying with it, and we'll see where we'll go from there.
The process of obtaining the all-important airline operations certificate involves 5 stages. Stage 1 is the pre-application phase, where the NCAA would appoint a certification team and process the pre-application statement of intent form ACOPS 001. In this stage, discussions on all regulatory requirements, the formal application and the attachment, and any other related issues will take place. This is usually a week's process. The second stage involves a formal application for intending entrance, where documents and manuals, including the curriculum vitae of key management personnel, must be submitted for evaluation. Stage 3 involves document evaluation, where the NCAA will review the applicant's manuals and other related documents and attachments to ensure conformity with the applicable regulations and safety operating practices. The minimum time frame for this document evaluation phase is 3 months. The process moves to phase 4, demonstration and inspection. This is a key stage of the process carried out only after a satisfactory documentation evaluation phase. In this stage, a thorough audit by the certification team at the applicant's premises will be conducted to ensure that the proposed procedures are effective and that the applicant's facilities and equipment meet the NCAA's regulatory requirements. Also in this stage, other demonstrations like emergency evacuation and ditching will be carried out, and after successes in these exercises, a demonstration flight will be carried out. The minimum time frame for the demonstration and inspection phase is 2 months. The fifth and final stage are certifications, and this means once the airline has met the regulatory requirements of the Civil Aviation Air Navigation Regulations, the NCAA would issue the AOC Airline Operations Certificate with the appropriate specifications and ratings. The minimum time frame for the certification phase is 1 week. And after the issuance of the Airline Operations Certificate, the applicant can engage in commercial aviation activities in Nigeria. Any prospective airline must fulfill all these requirements before they can be allowed to come on board.